Hello everyone, in this guide we will look at Healing Alacrity Scourge, which in my opinion is one of the strongest builds in the entire game. It provides lots of barrier, lots of boons, including permanent alacrity and a lot of might, and it has the ability to rest downs very quickly, which makes the build very good, especially if you are with some sort of a beginner group, because it will make things easier for everyone. For the gear, we are using full Minstrel with water runes. Weapons, we are going to use Harrier Dagger and Warhorn. We are going to have Sigil of Concentration and Sigil of Transference, and we also have a staff with Sigil of Concentration and Transference, which is also a Harrier. Full set of trinkets that are also Harrier stats, and the relic is Relic of the Mercy. This will be the food we use, which will give healing and concentration, and for the utilities we will use Bountiful Maintenance Oil. The gear can be very flexible between Minstrel and Harrier. For example, you can have full Minstrel armor, weapons and trinkets, and you can also have full Harrier armor, weapons and trinkets. It all depends on the type of content you do and the groups you are going to be doing that with. But I find a balance between Minstrel and Harrier is the best way to go. For the traits, we have Blood Magic 2, 1, 3, and Soul Reaping 1, 2, 1, and Scourge 1, 3, 3. For the utility skills, we are using Sand Flare as our heal, and then Signet of Undeath, and then we are using those two shouts, which will give us some barrier and some boons, and our elite is the Ghastly Breach, or it can also be Summon Flesh Golem. In Blood Magic, we have the Adapted trait, which will make sure we have constant life force to use all of our Shroud skills, because we will get a lot of life force from Dagger. Life from Death is going to have a decent heal for us and for allies, and it's also going to increase our healing by 10%, and Transfusion is the main reason why we have Blood Magic, because this will make you skill number 4 heal every pulse, and it will also pull downs towards you, and then you can raise them quickly. In Soul Reaping, we mainly have it to make sure that we still have a decent amount of life force, but also to reduce the cooldown on our Shroud skills, which is the main source of everything for this build. Eternal Life is another trait we have to make sure our life force will always be capped and we will always be able to use all of our Shroud skills. And in the Scourge trait line, this is where a lot of the benefits will come from. Abrasive Grit will make our barrier, remove conditions, and apply might. Sand Sage will increase our concentration and expertise whenever we have a shade. Desert Shroud becomes a very good skill, which will synergize very well with Desert Empowerment. So the Grandmaster trait will apply Alacrity anytime we apply barrier, and it will also make the F1 skill apply barrier to us and allies. And so this trait works very well with the Sandstorm Shroud, which we get from the Herald of Sorrow trait, because then when we use our Sandstorm Shroud, it will pulse protection, pulse barrier, which will apply a lot of might and alacrity. With this build, you will be applying tons of barrier from many sources. Your F1 skill is going to apply barrier. F3, Sand Cascade, will apply barrier. F5, as we just saw, will apply barrier every pulse, so this is very good. Sand Flare, your heal, will apply barrier. And last skill is Serpent Siphon, which will apply barrier on wherever you will drop it. On top of that, it will also give Ages and Regeneration, which will be very good. It's also a boon strip, which can be useful in some cases. Other skills to be aware of here will be your Warhorn 5, which will also heal allies, and it will give you a decent life force. Dark Pact, which is another very good boon strip. Dagger 2, Life Siphon, the heal from it only applies to you, not allies. And Dagger Auto Attack is perfect for life force. Nefarious Favor, this is going to be very good for cleanses. And we already mentioned that Garish Pillar, this is the skill you will use to heal and pull allies that are downed towards you. Signet of Undeath can also be used to raise allies, but this will only raise one ally. And when you leave it on passive, it will give you a lot of life force. If you notice when I hover on the Signet, you will see that half of my health kind of goes dark. That's because when you use the Signet, be prepared to lose a big chunk of your health. And so be very careful when and where to use it. The other shout we have, this is very good because it will give us a lot of might and it will also apply fury. Ghastly Breach will also keep applying might with every pulse to us and allies, and on top of that it will also apply a decent amount of conditions and damage to the enemy. So as you can see, you have lots of skills that are very useful for various situations. You will be able to apply tons of barrier and you will apply lots of boons. Specifically for Alacrity, if you want to keep it up 100%, you actually don't need to use that many skills. As you can see, right now my boon duration is about 90%, and I don't really have food or utilities yet. And if I use Sandstorm Shroud with F3 skill, let's see how much Alacrity we get just from those two skills. So as you can see, just from those two skills, you can apply Alacrity 100%. If you want to be even safer, you will use Sandstorm Shroud with Sand Cascade and Serpent Siphon. If you use those three skills, you will have tons of boons and lots of Alacrity 100% of the time without it dropping at all. And so from those three skills combined, we have Permanent Protection, lots of might, permanent alacrity, lots of regeneration, pretty much 100% of the time. And if we're going to use the other shout with them, then we also apply even more might and fury. And so I will show you now the amount of boons we can have from just using those four skills together. Another benefit, of course, as you can see, is you are applying tons of barrier for you and allies. So this can be your rotation, just simply using those four skills, Sandstorm Shroud, Sand Cascade, and then you have the two shouts that will give you a lot of boons and barrier. But of course, you can use other skills depending on the situation if you want, or if it's easy for you to use other skills. Sand Flare is going to give a lot of barrier, as we mentioned, and then you have your skill number F2. This is very good for cleanses. You can apply even more might and barrier with your F1 if you want. You have your Warhorn 5 for a little bit extra heals. So you can use the other skills if you want, but keep in mind that you don't have to. The elite can be Ghastly Breach, but if you found yourself needing some CCs, then the Golem can be very good here, because when you summon it, the elite skill itself becomes Charge, which you can then use to break bar, and it's a very powerful CC. There are other useful utility skills here we can take based on the situation. Plague Signet can be very useful in fights where there are lots of condi, because this is going to take a lot of conditions away from your allies, which you will then be able to cleanse easily with your barrier and your shroud skills. And you can also use it at the stun break and to send those conditions back to the enemy. Spectral Grasp is perfect if you have lots of mobs around you that you want to pull towards you to cleave. Corrupt Boon is a good option if you needed even more strips. Poison Cloud is very good if you needed some sort of projectile block. And Trail of Anguish is a skill you have if you needed your own stab or stun break for certain situations. If you found this guide helpful, please subscribe to the channel and give this video a like to see more build guides in the future. And if you have any questions or suggestions and requests, please let me know in the comments below and I will get back to you as soon as possible. I will now leave you with some footage for this build in action. Thank you very much for watching and I will see you in the next guide.